thank you guys so much for taking some time out of your day to come and learn a little bit more about Reading Eggs. My name's Carrie. I look after all of you guys for athletics, for Reading Eggs, for all of the things. I know most of you, we've had some interactions. Like I was just mentioning, I've got Kirsten Spack here with us as well. She also works closely with me in supporting you guys. And then we also have the lovely Sheila Robitaille, who's our PD, our head PD specialist, I should say. And she's going to step in towards the end of the presentation and give you guys some perspective on Reading Eggs as an educator, as she's been, gosh, an administrator, educator, all of the wonderful things for several years. So she has a really cool perspective as well. So we're going to take a look at a few things. We're going to look at what Reading Eggs is, areas of the program, and those areas are broken out into Fast Phonics, Reading Eggs, Reading Express, the digital library, as well, of course, the teacher side, and then Sheila's going to give her perspective on Reading Eggs as an educator. So first of all, what exactly is Reading Eggs? It's a comprehensive literacy program designed for pre-K to about the grade 6-7 mark. As we all know, there's the COVID learning gaps that we're seeing thus far. And so it's really kind of geared towards that individual student's need when they get to the older side of things. So it's designed to teach both fundamental literacy skills while creating lifelong readers. And some important things to note about the program is that it really incorporates the science of reading. So it is broken into those 4 key parts that will address all of the aspects of that. One license gives students access to all areas of the program, so you do have that cost certainty. And we do know that students' learning isn't stagnant. So as they grow and they learn throughout the school year, they are able to have the program go with them. Now, when a student logs into the program for the very first time, a placement test is going to help ensure that students are placed on the part of the program that directly addresses their individual needs. The activities within all areas of the program are bite-sized, engaging, and age-appropriate in a very specific scope and sequence. So as a teacher, though, there are quite a few advantages to Reading Eggs. So first of all, we have an alignment guide to the Alberta Curriculum Outcomes. Included within the program are teaching guides, book notes for all of the books in the digital library that have things like discussion points, worksheets, group activities, and so on and so forth. There's thousands and thousands of printable workbooks and resources within the program. So worksheets, flashcards. If for some reason you ever had the desire to print out a poster, there's posters in there that you could print as well. And then not only that, we also believe that data-driven decisions are really important. So there's really comprehensive reporting at both a school, class, and student level as well. And then that allows you to gain some of those insights to use for progress reports, or like we just mentioned, for those data-driven decisions as well. So I'm going to kind of go through the pieces of the program, give you the highlights, and then I'll show you some of the key features of the program just to be mindful of everybody's time here as well. So the very first part of the program is Fast Phonics. And this focuses on phonemic awareness using a systematic synthetic approach to reading rather. So this is the area for students who are just starting out on their literacy journey. And one thing that we're seeing becoming really, really common as well is that this is a great tool for ELL students if you have a few of those in your classes as well. Learning is segmented into 20 separate peaks, starting with the most commonly used sounds and letters. And included within the program, Fast Phonics has about 347 decodable readers within it, and many of those are printable as well. So obviously you can print those and use them within your classroom. But as students are going through the program, they're led by this super cute little character named Yeti, so it really personalizes the experience for them. Each peak has several different videos and lessons to be completed, again sequentially, which introduce a concept and help with practice and reinforcement of these activities. These different types of activities can include matching the sound to the corresponding letter, games, identifying words that start with the letter that we're learning. And then as students work through their journey on this program, they're going to unlock those decodable readers, which directly correspond to the sounds that they've learned thus far in the program. And then as they work through, at the end of each one of those peaks, a skills quiz is introduced to allow teachers to gain results and some insight as to how their students are doing. One of the really cool things as well, there are full lesson plans, like weekly lesson plans within the teacher side of things directly related to Fast Phonics. And that's included printable, decodable books, flashcards, and those week-by-week lessons. So I'm going to hopefully not stumble as I try to share a different screen with you guys. And I'm going to show you some of what Fast Phonics looks like. So this is what one of those peaks looks like. So I just have a little demo student who's kind of midway through, well, not midway, on peak 4 through the program here. So I'm going to click on a couple of these activities and show you what they may look like. So this one, for example, let's get it to load up here, is stretch it out. So say each sound and then blend the sounds together to make a word. And I do want to point out as well, while we're looking at this, that this is fully readable to the children. Whenever you see that little audio button, it's read aloud to the student. And then of course, if students need it to be said again, they can just click that audio button. So I do have the sound on this turned off just so I'm not shouting over Yeti here as he's guiding kids through these activities, but it's asking students to sound out each letter here. So n, k, and then we're going to smush it back together. And now he's saying, you've read the word neck. We're going to put them all together. And here we go. Neck says neck. And then it'll go through consistent different words. Sorry, we just have another joiner here. And as you can see, we're going through and stretching those words out. So it's really teaching students to sound things out and then shows them how they can put them together to create a word. I'm going to pop back into here now. Sorry, guys, 1 second. There we go. Awesome. And we're going to take a peek at reading eggs. So once students have worked through the program and they've learned all their awesome phonemic sounds, and they're going to take all those skills that they've learned and learn how to read. So just as like with Fast Phonics, the lessons are broken into different segments. And actually, this is probably a good part to have you guys see the screen here. So we're just going to log out of Fast Phonics and pop into reading eggs. Sometimes I'm a visual kind of person, so it's easier to see and kind of explain here. So like I said, reading eggs is broken into 120 lessons. All of these mini lessons are to be completed sequentially. So that ensures that students are learning and mastering a concept before, goodness, they move along to the next. Where did my screen go? Sorry, guys, a little klutzy today, apparently. 1 sec. There we go. Here we are. 1 second. Slide this one over here. Awesome. Perfect. We're back. Cool. Sorry about that. So 120 lessons we go through. Each one of these lessons are built into those mini lessons to be completed sequentially. Concepts are introduced at the start of these lessons by an engaging video that's going to introduce that concept to a student. So I always say that the learning within Reading Eggs happens in the top row here. So this is where those little bite-sized lessons are housed. And some of the different lessons that students can complete within here could be making word families that have the same ending sounds, identifying letters in different fonts, making compound words. For example, sorry guys, we have a link joiner here. 1 second. There we go. Awesome. So where were we? So making compound words, it could be matching pictures to letters or identifying newly learned words. Another joiner. There we go. Newly learned words in matching games. So this activity that you see up on the screen here, for example, is introducing the sound ache. So this is Jake the snake, and it is reading all of these aloud to the student and is giving them kind of examples of words that start with the letter A-K-E. So as students progress through all of these lessons, just like with Fast Phonics, there's a little skills quiz at the end, which is amazing, again, for gaining those data-driven insights. There's also in each lesson a book that students get to read through related, again, to the concepts that they're learning. You can see here that a lot of these books can be read to the student. And the really cool thing is that as they go through reading these books that are related to the lessons that they've just completed, as they finish reading the book, there's going to be a comprehension quiz at the end. So students are learning to read, they're going through, and they're learning those early comprehension skills as well. So if we pop out of this little area here, I did mention that there's a whole lot of learning going through on the top level of this little program here. So aside from those core lessons, there's additional ways for students to learn and practice their reading. So here we have Storylands, which I always refer to as kind of a fairy tale soap opera where students can read about this like crazy royal family and all of their antics. As students read and follow along, they complete comprehension activities to really instill those early comprehension skills. The next little area we have here is the spelling arena. And this here opens up at level 60, and it allows for students to work on their spelling skills based on words that they have learned thus far within the program. Another area is the driving test. So this little area here is really similar to a Math Mental Minute, if you guys are familiar with that, but it's for literacy skills. So this is really neat because students, whoopsie-daisy, can complete this here on 3 different topics. So there are sight words, content words, and letters and sounds. And there's 15 different levels here. So there's really a lot, and students can really dig into those skills and keep practicing and growing on them as well. So this is the driving test portion of here. And then this part is perhaps my favorite, and this is the Story Factory. And I think this is really one of the most unique areas that the program has to offer. So if we click into the Story Factory, this gives students the opportunity to practice their writing skills and even to publish their own book. Each week, there's a new theme, and students are given illustrations to design their book, as well as some suggested words around that topic. So we can take a peek through here. It'll give students the instructions. Sorry, we got a joiner. There we go. So it'll even give students instructions as to how to complete this. They'll get some little illustrations that they can go through and design. And give you some examples of this. You can name it anything you want to. And then we have those examples of words that are related to the topic. There's even prompts here for how stories start and how stories end. And so once they've completed this, students do have the ability to save and print their books, which is a really cute idea for parent nights as well. The other thing that they're able to do is to submit their story to our story showroom. So when students click into the story showroom, they get the opportunity to read books that other students around the world have written. And as you can see here, each week we have a little winner that gets highlighted up here, but it's a really cool way that students can kind of just see what other kiddos are up to around. Clearly there's no So we did talk about the top row here being where all the learning happens. There's also the bottom row, which is some fun activities for students. So there could be puzzles, games, the ability to decorate their little cartoon house here with eggs that they've learned as they're completing the program. But you do have the ability as a teacher to turn some of those features off. So that is the super high level of the Reading Eggs portion. I'm going to take you into Reading Express now. So Reading Express is really where we take all those skills that the students have learned, and now we've learned how to read. Now we're going to work on reading to learn. So we're working on skills like comprehension, inferential skills, vocabulary, and grammar. So as this part of the program is geared towards the older learners, you're going to notice that it looks a little different and has a more mature look to it. And just like with the previous parts of the program, lessons are all broken into small activities to be completed. So some of the really cool activities within Reading Express that I see teachers getting quite excited about are, let me pop into here. How do you look up a word in a dictionary? Kids don't seem to use that too often anymore. So here it's going to work through, how do you look up a word in a dictionary? How can you look at the cover of a book and use context clues to find out what it's about? How do you draw conclusions from text? So there's really quite a variety of different ways that students can learn within this program. And then just like with the rest of the program, these are completed sequentially by students. And then as they move towards the end of the program, they do, again, the reading comprehension, followed up by the comprehension quiz, and then our skills quiz as well, so that teachers are gaining those insights from all of the things that the students have learned thus far. When we go over into, again, the top row being the learning row, we have the English skills here, which is very similar to the spelling area in the Reading Eggs portion. So it's just yet another way for students to practice spelling, creating compound words, etc. The stadium here, when you guys click into it, will probably be familiar to a lot of you because it is designed very similarly to Live Mathletics, for those of you who do use Mathletics. Basically, this is just another opportunity for students to practice their skills on spelling, grammar, vocabulary, usage. And students get the opportunity within here to play against the computer, their class, or other students around the globe. And again, we're very, very conscious, obviously. There's no chat functionality, identifying information, or anything like that that's shared within the stadium when they're playing against other students. And so again, we have the bottom row, which is the fun stuff. And then we do have some additional ways to kind of encourage students who are in this part of the program to further explore and to self-explore. So targets, for example, gives children challenges. So it encourages them to look around the program and do some different types of activities. And then they get to earn little trophies. So read 3 books in a library, leave a review on a book, buy something for your apartment with your coins, and so on and so forth. So that really makes sure that students are self-exploring the program as well. So that is, again, high level view of Reading Eggs. I want to take you guys into the library here because this is such a fantastic resource. So this here is our digital library. And within the digital library, there are over 3,500 books, and it's constantly being updated. One of the more recent updates that we're really excited about is our Canadian First Nations content. So we actually teamed up with a publisher out of Manitoba called Good Minds, and we've provided books written and published by Canadian First Nations people, which is such an amazing feature within this program. As of today, we have 11 of those books within the library, but there's another 37 scheduled to be released within the immediate future here. So this digital library is designed to mimic an actual library where students can browse by topic. If I click around here, you can see there's animals, plants, so on and so forth. And they're able to browse the shelves, search by keywords, or even read one of these recommended books of the day down here. Books within the library range from decodable readers, so our youngest guys can recognize their friend Yeti over here, all the way up to grade 6, 7 level reading novels as well. Another super cool feature within the digital library is that each one of these books contains a comprehension quiz as well, but they are able to favorite, bookmark their place to come back to as well. So we're also making some strides to be more accessible in the near future, just like we're adding some more books, but we're going to be adding accessible readers. So ones that have larger font, more space between the lines, and off white backgrounds as well. So I have breezed through this. A lot of this is information overload. Before I jump into the teacher side of things, have you seen anything that you may have questions about that I might be able to help answer? I will take the silence as golden. I'm just going to log in here so I can access the teacher side of things. Because there's so much in here for you teachers that I think it's really, really important to highlight as well. So this is where you guys are going to spend the majority of your time within Reading Eggs, but there is so much here for you guys. So first of all, we've got on this little side here, this is kind of your menu where you can dig through and really gain some of those additional resources. So the alignment map, this is a hugely important thing. If you click on the curriculum maps, you get access to the Alberta correlation chart, which is going to go through the Alberta outcomes and give you activities and different things that students can do to work towards those outcomes. One of the things that I think gets overlooked a lot within this teacher toolkit is the book notes. This is probably one of the most valuable resources within here. So if I'm searching for one of these library books, if I click on it, and we'll click on this one, for example, here. If I click on this, it gives me book notes. Some of these even have those ELL notes within here, but it gives you group activities. How can I help my students understand this? What kinds of words are included within this book? Here's some additional worksheets that students can work on in relation to those books that are located within the library. So this just in itself is an amazing resource that I always like to point out to people as well. Again, there's flashcards, all that kind of fun stuff within here. But this next little line is the Printables Library. One second here, is the Printables Library. So those teacher guides that I mentioned about, those weekly planners, these are all located within here. I always recommend to people to search by topic through here because there's just a whole host of resources that I really like to point out as well. There's handwriting books, there's syllable cards, certificates, you name it. The teacher library here, I think, is also a great tool for you guys. So what you're able to do within the teacher library is make those cross-curricular connections. So because we do have so many books within the library, what you can do is you can go through and you can search for a book, and maybe you have a student who really loves dogs and they only ever want to read books about dogs. Well, you can go through and you can create customized collections. Maybe it's on a topic you're learning in science or something along those lines, but you can go through and you can create those customized collections and you can send them to either the entire group of students that you have, individual students, and really manipulate it through that. And you are able to share those so they pop up in the students' library as well. The management tab is really a great area for you guys as well. So here is where I can view all of my students. I can download those logins, and we do have the QR codes. So basically you don't have to worry about the little guys typing in their credentials to log in here. And then another thing I want to point out as well is the parent letter. So if you have students who are wanting some support at home as well, you can download these letters for each of your kiddos, send them home, and it helps give the parents some insight as to how they can help support their students at home with their reading as well. So you as a teacher also have the ability to assign some of these tasks. So students are on a self-led journey, but if you want everybody to kind of come together and work on something as a group, you just click on assignments and you are able to assign to specific children or the group as a whole. The lessons part is giving you a really great breakdown as to what's included with each one of the lessons that the students are looking at. So here I can download a student PDF. I can download a teacher PDF where, again, it's going to go through and it's going to give some ideas as to what I can help to do to support different learning within this different lesson. And finally, I'm so sorry I'm breezing through this. I just want to make sure we touch on a lot of this. We have reporting, and reporting is so, so important. There's a whole host of different reporting mechanisms within here and different types of areas you can report on. So we've got a dashboard that'll give you a nice class level, but one that's almost a little hidden that I always like to point out is when you're in the dashboard and you click on table. If you see your student's name in blue on any of these, you can always click on it to dig in at a student level. So if I look at this one, for example, this is a cool report for my individual students. It's going to give me an example of their Lexile growth. And I can, again, isolate this down to certain parts of time. It'll let me know how I've done with placement tests. It will give me the student's most recent activity. And then one part that is really, really valuable is this areas of weakness. So that's going to let you know as a teacher what areas in the program your student is struggling with. So obviously you can then go and make those data-informed decisions. And then we have cool aspects as well, just like books read. So how many books have my students read? How many words has this student read within the book? And it'll even keep a track of their stories they've written, the assignments they've completed, spelling lessons, and my goodness, a whole host of other stuff. And then if you do want to explore, you can even look at time on task to make sure your kiddos are actually logging in, doing their work. And you can even take a look. If my demo student had earned some certificates, there would be some certificates in here that you can download and share to celebrate the learning. So that is me, who needs to take a quick drink, but I'm going to turn it over to the lovely Sheila, and I am just going to let her speak about Reading Eggs from an educator's perspective as well.
Thanks, Carrie. You did a fabulous job of that overview. I think, as you could see, that there's tons in Reading Eggs, and those of you who have experienced before can probably back me up on that. And so it's really hard to kind of say, okay, what are the best pieces? Because I know Carrie and I know myself, I could talk about Reading Eggs forever. As an educator, some of my favorite parts about the whole thing is that it doesn't matter what your approach to teaching reading is, there's something in Reading Eggs. If you are following the systematic synthetic phonics approach, you can start your kids in fast phonics and off they go. If you are taking more of a blended approach, you can start your kids in Reading Eggs and off they go. If you are adhering to the science of reading, then you've got both fast phonics and Reading Eggs that work together to cover everything within the science of reading. So everything for you is there. And if we're using it with Fidelity teachers, it becomes your partner, and mostly because of the ways that it helps you differentiate. I know that you have all sorts of levels of readers in your classroom, and a program like this used purposefully makes you a magician or maybe an orchestra leader, because with just a few clicks here and a few clicks there, and obviously we could show that during a PD session, you are providing content for every student based on their needs, and also that enables you well, because you're using the data that's coming from it to make data-driven decisions, and because it is enabling you to do that. And then as a last thing, because I know we're running out of time, but I get so excited about the library. Carrie mentioned there are 3,500 titles in there, all reading levels, all genres. Your kids are carrying a full library around with them. And if you thought about it, if you bought one book for every student, books are going to cost $15 to $30 a piece. You bought one book for students, that would pay for the licenses for Reading Eggs, and you're providing them 3,500 books that they have access to 24/7. And then also the amazing things that you as a teacher can do with the library as well. So that's just a few of the things that as an educator, I get very excited about, a few of the many things, but I think those are things that, you know, when you start to dive in, I want you to have some enthusiasm and some excitement about it. And those are the places I hope that you'll look at first. So thanks, Carrie, for a little bit of time to talk about that. Can't hear you.
I muted myself. Sorry about that. So I do have this slide deck that I've put together that I'm happy to share with you guys as well. Just kind of outlining those key areas of reading eggs, just so you have that kind of reminder, because we absolutely just info dumped on all of you guys. So I don't want to overwhelm or have anything kind of missing out of there. So please, by all means, I'll turn it back to you, Angela. Mhm. Mhm. So it's actually already connected to the new. We tried to be super proactive just to make somebody's life easier in all the curriculum chaos here. So yes, it is. I do believe that it is going to be beefed up a little bit over the summer months, just because obviously now it's going to actually be our curriculum. So we're going to make sure we enhance that a little bit as well, to my understanding. Yeah.
Before our teachers jump in and just give you some personal feedback. Yeah, so before our teachers are all here that have piloted it this year, and so they'll give you a little bit of feedback. I just wanted to give you a context of how we're using it. So we decided when it was discovered that in the teacher resource section, there's in the Fast Phonics, there's a whole phonics workbook. There's a student book, there's a printing book, there's all these different books that go with the Fast Phonics program. We actually made it part of our whole phonics. And so it's not just that they just go on for supplemental stuff like you would in RAS. It's now become a big part of our literacy program. And so we have, I'm just going to show you here. So there are 20 peaks in Fast Phonics. So we have peak 1 to 10 teacher guide is right in the teacher toolkit. And then we have peak 11 to 20. So there's 20 different peaks. And within it, if I can show you, within it here, every lesson, it's kind of backwards for me, I hope it's not right, but every lesson will tell you exactly, I can tell you here. So like peak 5 phase 2, they're doing L, H, F, B, double L's, double F. It will tell you exactly what the lesson content is, so that if you're a teacher who's wanting to keep track of what all these lessons are doing, you have a complete overview of the book that's in there, the focus that's in there, the lessons that are in there. And so it walks, yeah, right there, thanks. It walks you through, it walks you through, and it actually helps for planning your lessons so that you can actually have your fast, if you've got a little group of kids that are all at this level, you can have them all doing those Fast Phonics lessons at that level, and then bring that into your guided reading group and your phonics in your if you're doing daily 5 rotations. So some kids are working in their phonics workbook of Fast Phonics. Some people are actually online on Fast Phonics. Some people are doing that, incorporating that into their reading level in their guided reading group with their teachers. And so we've actually just, it's our program for how, well, a big part of it, not all of it, for how we're running it in our school. And in that process, we've just decided to go the Fast Phonics route. And I did inquire to Carrie and to Kristen about we just chose the Fast Phonics because it's synthetic and it has all these other supplemental things. If we had have chose the Reading Eggs route, it does add a little bit more to the comprehension piece and those kinds of things. But because of all the supportive things that Fast Phonics did, that's why we went that route. And then our kids who get past all the peaks and they've managed to complete all of that, we then transition them into the Reading Express, which is more the reading strategies and comprehension piece when they're actual reading and that sort of thing. So that's just kind of how we've envisioned it to make it work, because it is tricky. If you want to go into reading eggs, you have to be doing all those lessons to progress in reading eggs. If you want to go into Fast Phonics, you have to do all those lessons to progress. So you can't really flip easily between Fast Phonics and reading eggs. You kind of have to pick which one you're going to do, because you're going to get all of the lesson things that come at you with the spelling and all those other things that were pointed out, matching your level that you're at. So you can't just be going on to peak 11, say in Fast Phonics, and then suddenly jump into reading eggs where you haven't done any work in there. So if that helps you clarify, because I had to wrap my brain around that, you can't really do both very easily and progress all the way through. So we chose the Fast Phonics route because of all the extra teacher resources that make it compatible in the teacher resource toolkit section. So that just is kind of how we're envisioning it in our school. There's probably a whole bunch of different ways you could, but that's the way we are. So if the teachers speak to it, that just gives you a context.
And
if I could add to what Jane had said there, I completely concur with you. The only caveat I would put in is if you're kind of wanting to use it in a blended way, graphemes and phonemes and digraphs and trigraphs and all of that are introduced. But once students get past about peak 12, I believe it is, they've been introduced to most of those things. And that is a good time if you want to transition to reading eggs or if you want to start working on them together. So it's after peak 12.
Awesome information. I will add that into our stuff.
And then
go ahead.
Sorry, Jane, just to add to that, there are still teacher guidebooks within Reading Eggs. So if I'm on this side here and I click into lessons, when I go into resources, we do have some of those additional, like, how do I teach this, so on and so forth through there. And just while you're talking, Kirsten and I went on quite a crusade. I wasn't going to bring this up, but after we visited with you and we talked about the recording functionality, it's coming.
Yay!
So I was told, I don't know exactly when, but it is coming.
And what we're referring to there for anybody watching is that was the one request that people using it were missing from RAS, is that RAS has a feature where a child can click in and do a read online, and then the teacher can hear it and can, go through it later, that sort of thing. And that recording feature was not on Reading Eggs, and that was the one thing everybody wished for that RAS had. So it's great to know that that's becoming a feature, because that was the one thing that they missed.
I may have gotten my hand slapped because every time I see our director, I ask him for an update, and I think he avoids me now. So it is coming. I promise you. We have fought long and hard. So it's coming, Jane. I promise you.
Awesome. Well, because I mentioned it to you guys every time you come visit, so it goes all the way up the chain. Good to know. Absolutely. Yeah. If any of them want to come on and just explain what they've experienced, that'd be great.
I can go first, although Jane said most of what I was going to say. Thanks for setting it up, Jane, because so I'm teaching grade 3, and just for a little context, it's my first time teaching grade 3, so it was very helpful for me just how it's extremely user-friendly, set up really well. We did use it in our reading rotations, so I usually had a group doing the online lessons in Fast Phonics. I had a group doing the workbooks, at least for the first portion of the year. And then I had a group doing guided reading and another group doing something else. And we had quite a wide spectrum of readers in the classroom as far as levels go this year. So most of them, the placement test was really handy. Most of them started out in Fast Phonics, but of course I had a group that went straight into Reading Express. And also, like you said, Sheila, I love the library. Just knowing that they had access to those titles, I was able to use the library for different things, whereas my own classroom library is a little thin this year. It was great to know that they had those leveled books. Some of them are like even had the read to me functions, so my really lower readers could just have it read to them, which was great. And then when they had an option for read to self, if they didn't have something from the library or didn't have something from our classroom library, they could just pull up the Fast Phonics library and use that. We used it for descriptive words the other day. They could just go into those books, and then we're creating a Juicy Words wall. So I found it really helpful. And every time I sit in on one of these or talk to Jane about it, I learned, like, even as we were doing it, I was making notes of the features that I have not discovered yet. So there are lots and lots of features. Once you open it up, it's there's a lot of cool stuff to figure out that I look forward to still.
Even internally here, Simon, if it makes you feel any better, we'll be going through stuff and we'll go, I didn't know that was in here. Cool. So we're always finding new stuff too. And they are updating it constantly. So please don't feel bad. We're also learning.
Here's one that I learned just last week in Fast Phonics. Those books that they read in Fast Phonics, they have to read them to themselves. But if they go through the book and then they don't pass the little comprehension part test at the end, then they have the option to go back and the book is read to them so that they can build on those comprehension skills as well. So
even if that feature isn't offered on the front end, or is it only for?
Yeah, it comes in after they have to go through the test and demonstrate that they don't have the comprehension yet. Then the next time around, it's read to them.
That's excellent news.
I can go next if you want, since we got grade 3 and 1. I'm grade 2 at Centennial. No problem. I loved it. And when we got the survey, I said, please, 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 I want it next year because it's so engaging. It's a huge part of my program. It's similar to what all the other teachers said. We do differentiated guided reading stations. So my big focus is the guided reading group. But knowing that they're doing something so valuable independently is amazing. And I loved Fast Phonics for my beginning readers because they were all working at that same level to start with. And now I have one little group working on reading completing them, and they get EA support with that so that they can focus on more that independently or with an EA, and with me, they focus more on guided reading. So it's a good balance. So even though Fast Phonics itself doesn't have strong comprehension in the program, I can work on that with them myself. So I think it's a perfect balance. We also do read to partner, read to self. We do some spelling work, some like games, some word work. So it's this nice little rotation, and we've had the same rotation for quite a while and they haven't complained. So they love it. It's engaging. They're proud to pass the peaks, and I have no complaints. And I love these little booklets because it's not just a computer station. It's a whole like multiple stations, so it can fit with a daily 5 structure or any type of guided reading structure. So I'm a big fan. You're welcome.
One of the things that all of the teachers have expressed is that the engagement level was a lot higher than what it was with RAS. And it might just be our location, or I'm not sure, but I do think I also used it online. That's how I discovered it in grade 2 and 3 when I taught online. And we needed some kind of a program that could encompass a lot when you're online. And the feedback I got from my students and parents as well was, wow, it's so engaging. And so a lot of kids would basically jump in and all of a sudden do more than what I'd assigned because it was engaging. And the other thing that all the teachers have mentioned as well is that we have a clientele where a lot of our kids don't come in as readers and take a little bit longer than others maybe to become readers. So there's an extended period of time where some of these kids aren't able to read independently. And so it took a lot longer for them to get to a point in RAS where they were able to read independently, whereas this program gave them a chance to do independent work right where they're at, even if they're reading just learning letters and sounds. So if you're a teacher who's trying to run a daily 5 where you need independent activities for kids to do for extended, a whole guided reading period that keeps them engaged that long, this is a great way to do it because it allows that engagement and level of independence even for a child who can't read. Mhm. And the other thing too is what all of them touched on is that it's not just the online program, but the teacher toolkit has so many things that supplement what you're doing that you can utilize in your literacy program. That's not just they click in and do their online activity. There's just a whack of other stuff. And I've even printed off there's like sound mats and there's all kinds of extra things that you can use to supplement your program that's beyond just clicking in and doing online reading.
Carrie, I think we need Jane on our marketing team.
Oh man, that's so cool. That's so awesome. I'm gonna pop my email address in the chat. If you guys want any of this documentation, please feel free. I know Carrie already has emailed me, but please feel free to email me and I'll send along whatever you need. And I will send you that copy of the slide deck that I put together today that I ended up throwing out halfway through just to show you within the program. But you guys, thank you so much. You guys and your kind of stories about using this just gave me chills. And that was such a really nice way to end a Friday. So thank you for being awesome for us. And I hope we are for you as well. And yeah, just, oh. Anytime, you guys. I'm sorry to say it, go Oilers. Just get out of here. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye, guys.